here are some lower back mobilisations and stretches for you. So first of all, we're going to start just lying flat on the floor, hands together in prayer position and over your head, and really stretch your toes all the way down. I would sort of move your hips up and down, you probably can't see because the camera angle's not long enough, and just really try and reach those toes down and really try and reach your hands over your head, and just hold that for a little while. It's quite nice to open up those hip flexors, those stomach muscles, having been hunched over a desk and laptop or whatever it is you're trying to work from at home in these circumstances. Hold that for a minute or so. It's quite nice to do, and then we will bend our knees, and our feet are underneath our knees more or less. In other words, quite close together. Not it's again difficult to show you completely how it should be, because I haven't got a long enough angle or nor big enough room. But we're going to go through some lower back mobilisation. So it's just this area again, and I'm going to go through neutral with you, what neutral is, because it's something different to everybody. But basically, you're wanting to find your neutral, which means your lower back, where the weight is going to be felt, is in this flat part of your back called your sacrum. So it's that part should be there. That's where your main weight will end up being. Now, to find that, you kind of need to practice overarching and going the other way. So when you overarch, it should be really easy to get your hands underneath, and when you overstretch the other way, your back flattens and you can't get anything through there. But we don't want your rib cage lifted off either, so that is bad. We want to have everything kind of nice and flat. So it's all about this pelvic position as well as your rib position. So if you think of your pelvis as being it's kind of little bowl here, so if you have your fingers down towards your pelvic bone and your pubic bone, and your thumbs around your belly button, that will give you your 6 and your 12 and your 6 o'clock, or 6 and 12. 12 being your thumbs and 6 o'clock being your fingers. And basically you want to tilt towards 6 o'clock, which will arch your back, and tilt towards 12 o'clock, which will flatten your back. And you need to find a middle area there where the weight is kind of in that area that I just described. And then that's your starting point. That's where that will be always your neutral. And from there, if you're trying to activate your core, if you have your fingers there, you should feel when you breathe in, there's a little tightening, and as you breathe out, you should feel a slight tightening as you pull your tummy muscles towards your lower back, and that is activating your core. Sometimes people draw up or draw down. You have to find the right words for you that work, but basically it's as you breathe out, you hold this area, because that is what stabilizes you. And with that, we don't want flaring ribs, because sometimes people breathe in or breathe out and they flare their ribs. We don't want that, because you can see, even from this angle, you can see that gaps up too much. We want that nice and flat, but not too flat, because that will then lift the pelvis the wrong way. So from here, you're going to find your neutral. So you found your neutral, and you'll feel it. With practice, you'll feel where it is, and you won't have to be doing this whole thing of feeling where it is. And we're just going to do a tilt towards 12 o'clock. So in other words, you're just going to tilt your pelvis nicer, so it's nice and flat on the floor, and then you're going to tilt the other way towards 6 o'clock to open up. Now, if this is sore, if you've got a really sore lower back, going this way to arch it can be quite sore, in which case go as far as comfortable, don't force it too much, and then we go back to neutral. Then we go to what we would call 9 o'clock, so you tilt slightly that way, and then you tilt slightly to 3 o'clock the other way. And this should give you a real feeling of what you're doing with your pelvis. So you're going from 3 to 9, and then we'll go 12 to 6. And that should give you an idea of what you're doing with your pelvis, and it's actually quite a nice way to relax the lower back. I think sometimes when your back is really sore, this is just a nice way to move it very, very gently. There's not a lot of movement at all, and it can feel very, very comforting. And then from there, we're just going to bring one knee up to our chest and let the other leg go down, and this should help stretch that lower back on one side. Then you swap to the other, bring the knee up and then drop the other leg down so you don't put too much strain on that lower back. Then you bring both knees up together and hold them up, and then you might find your bum lifts off, or at least the lower back. I find this a really nice stretch. I sometimes even find it even more comfortable bringing my head up towards my knees as well, and really becoming a little bug. And then relax your head down and then just do circles, going one direction and then going in the other direction. Now you can do these for a bit longer than I'm just demonstrating. They are really, really comforting when you've got a sore lower back. So you're likely to get a little bit more of lower back soreness while you're not working in very ergonomic situations. So have a go, see how you get on.